Gloria stood at the bus station, clutching her small suitcase tightly. She was just 16, with long, flowing hair and bright eyes that sparkled with innocence. Her parents had sent her to live with her Uncle Taylor in Port Harcourt, a bustling city far from her quiet village. They believed the city would offer her better opportunities, especially with her uncle being a wealthy man. Gloria felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as she boarded the bus, wondering what her new life would be like. When she arrived, Uncle Taylor was waiting for her in his sleek car. He greeted her with a warm smile and helped her with her luggage. As they drove to his mansion, Gloria marveled at the tall buildings and busy streets. She had never seen anything like it. Uncle Taylor's home was even more impressive, a large, beautiful house with a well-kept garden. Gloria felt a surge of gratitude. She was determined to make the most of this new chapter in her life, unaware of the dark storm brewing beneath the surface of her uncle's seemingly perfect family. The mansion was everything Gloria had imagined and more. It had high ceilings, sparkling chandeliers, and rooms so big they seemed to go on forever. Uncle Taylor introduced her to his 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, all younger than her. They seemed friendly but distant, as if they were used to guests coming and going. Gloria's aunt, Mrs. Taylor, was not home. Uncle Taylor explained that his wife was a busy woman, always traveling for work. Gloria nodded, though she found it strange that her aunt was rarely around. That evening, Uncle Taylor showed Gloria to her room. It was spacious and beautifully decorated, with a large window that overlooked the garden. As she unpacked her things, Gloria felt a sense of belonging. She promised herself she would work hard in school and make her parents proud. But as she lay in bed that night, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The house was too quiet, and the absence of her aunt left an eerie emptiness. Little did she know, this emptiness would soon be filled with a darkness she could never have imagined. Days turned into weeks, and Gloria settled into her new routine. She attended a prestigious school in the city and made a few friends. At home, she helped with chores and spent time with her cousins, though they were often preoccupied with their own activities. Uncle Taylor was kind to her, always asking about her day and offering words of encouragement. But Gloria began to notice something strange. Whenever her aunt was away, which was often, Uncle Taylor would retreat to his study for hours. First, Gloria thought he was working. But one evening, as she passed by his study, she heard strange noises coming from inside. Curiosity got the better of her, and she peeked through the slightly open door. What she saw shocked her. Uncle Taylor was watching something inappropriate on his computer. Gloria quickly stepped away, her heart racing. She felt confused and uncomfortable, unsure of what to do. She decided to keep it to herself, hoping it was just a one-time thing. But deep down, she knew something was wrong. The incident in the study lingered in Gloria's mind, making her feel uneasy around Uncle Taylor. She tried to avoid him as much as possible, but it was difficult in the same house. He, on the other hand, seemed to grow more attentive toward her. He would compliment her looks and often find excuses to be near her. Gloria felt trapped, unsure of how to handle the situation. One evening after dinner, Uncle Taylor asked Gloria to join him in the living room. He handed her a gift, a beautiful necklace. Gloria hesitated but accepted it, not wanting to offend him. As she thanked him, he placed a hand on her shoulder, lingering a little too long. Gloria quickly excused herself, feeling a knot of fear in her stomach. She locked her bedroom door that night, something she had never done before. The once welcoming mansion now felt like a prison, and Gloria couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen. Tension in the house grew unbearable. Gloria's aunt was rarely home, and when she was, she seemed distant and uninterested in her family. Uncle Taylor's behavior became more erratic. He would stare at Gloria for long periods, making her feel exposed and vulnerable. She tried to confide in her cousins, but they were too young to understand. One night, Gloria woke up to the sound of her bedroom door creaking open. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. Uncle Taylor stood in the doorway, his silhouette illuminated by the moonlight. He whispered her name, his voice trembling. Gloria's mind raced. She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. As he stepped closer, she realized she was no longer safe in the mansion. The family she had once admired was crumbling before her eyes, and she was at the center of the storm. Gloria's breath hitched as Uncle Taylor approached her bed. She pulled the blankets tightly around her, her mind screaming for her to move, to run, to do something. But fear paralyzed her. He sat on the edge of her bed, his voice soft but laced with something sinister. "You're so beautiful, Gloria," he whispered, reaching out to touch her hair. She recoiled, but he grabbed her wrist, his grip firm. Tears streamed down Gloria's face as she pleaded with him to stop. But Uncle Taylor was beyond reason. He had been consumed by his desires, and Gloria was powerless against him. That night, her innocence was stolen and her world shattered into pieces. When it was over, he left her room without a word, leaving Gloria to cry alone in the darkness. She felt broken, betrayed, and utterly alone. The mansion, once a symbol of hope, had become a place of nightmares. The days that followed were a blur for Gloria. She avoided Uncle Taylor at all costs, locking herself in her room whenever he was home. She stopped eating, stopped talking, and stopped smiling. Her cousins noticed the change but didn't know how to help. Her aunt, still absent, remained oblivious to the turmoil in her own home. Uncle Taylor, on the other hand, acted as if nothing had happened. He continued his daily routine, his demeanor calm and composed. But Gloria could see the guilt in his eyes whenever their paths crossed. She wanted to confront him, to scream and demand answers, but fear kept her silent. She felt trapped, with no one to turn to and no way to escape. The silence in the house was deafening, a constant reminder of the secret she carried. One afternoon, Gloria received a text from her best friend back in the village. It was a simple message, asking how she was doing, but it brought tears to her eyes. For the first time in weeks, she felt a glimmer of hope. She replied, pouring her heart out in the message. She didn't mention what had happened, but she hinted at her struggles and her desire to leave Port Harcourt. Her friend, sensing her distress, promised to help. She suggested that Gloria confide in a trusted adult or seek help from a counselor. Gloria considered the idea but was too afraid of the consequences. What if no one believed her? What if Uncle Taylor found out? The thought sent shivers down her spine. Still, the conversation gave her a small sense of comfort. She wasn't completely alone, and that knowledge gave her the strength to keep going. Tension in the house reached a breaking point one evening during dinner. Gloria's aunt was finally home, and the family sat together at the table. But the atmosphere was tense, the air thick with unspoken words. Gloria picked at her food, her appetite gone. Uncle Taylor kept glancing at her, his gaze making her skin crawl. Suddenly, Gloria's youngest cousin asked why she had been so quiet lately. The question hung in the air, and Gloria felt everyone's eyes on her. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Instead, she burst into tears and ran to her room. The family was left in stunned silence, unsure of what had just happened. That night, Gloria knew she couldn't keep the secret any longer. She had to find a way to tell someone, no matter the cost. The next morning, Gloria mustered the courage to approach her aunt. She found her in the kitchen, sipping coffee and scrolling through her phone. Gloria hesitated, her heart pounding, but she knew this was her only chance. "Auntie, I need to talk to you," she said, her voice trembling. Her aunt looked up, surprised. "What is it, Gloria?" she asked, setting her phone aside. Gloria took a deep breath and began to speak. The words poured out of her, each one heavier than the last. She told her aunt everything, the inappropriate behavior, the late-night visits, the unthinkable act. By the time she finished, she was sobbing uncontrollably. Her aunt sat in stunned silence, her face pale. For a moment, Gloria feared she wouldn't believe her. But then her aunt stood up and pulled her into a tight embrace. "I'm so sorry, Gloria," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I had no idea." The confession marked the beginning of the end for the Taylor family, but it also gave Gloria a sense of relief. She had finally broken the silence. The aftermath of Gloria's confession was chaotic. Her aunt confronted Uncle Taylor, and their argument echoed through the mansion. Gloria stayed in her room, clutching a pillow to her chest as she listened to the raised voices. Her cousins were confused and scared, unsure of what was happening. Uncle Taylor denied everything at first, but the evidence was too damning. Gloria's aunt threatened to leave him and take the children with her. The once stable family was now on the brink of collapse. Gloria felt a mix of emotions: relief that the truth was out, guilt for causing the chaos, and fear of what would happen next. She knew her life would never be the same, but she also knew she had done the right thing. In the days that followed, Gloria's aunt took charge of the situation. She arranged for Gloria to stay with a trusted friend while she figured out the next steps. Gloria packed her bags, her hands trembling as she folded her clothes. She was leaving the mansion, but the memories would stay with her forever. As she stepped into the car that would take her away, Gloria felt a sense of closure. The nightmare was over, but the healing process was just beginning. She knew it would take time to rebuild her life, but she was determined to move forward. The road ahead was uncertain, but Gloria held on to the hope that brighter days were coming. Gloria arrived at her aunt's friend's house, a modest but cozy home far from the city. The woman, Mrs. Adele, greeted her with a warm smile and open arms. She had been briefed about the situation and was determined to provide Gloria with a safe and nurturing environment. For the first time in weeks, Gloria felt a sense of peace. Mrs. Adele's home was filled with books, plants, and the comforting smell of home-cooked meals. Gloria was given her own room, smaller than the one at the mansion but infinitely more comforting. That night, as she lay in bed, she allowed herself to cry, not out of fear or pain but out of relief. She was finally free from Uncle Taylor's shadow, and for the first time in a long while she felt hopeful about the future. Back in Port Harcourt, Gloria's aunt was busy gathering evidence against Uncle Taylor. She hired a lawyer and filed a police report, determined to hold him accountable for his actions. The legal process was slow and grueling, but she refused to back down. Gloria was asked to give a statement, which was one of the hardest things she had ever done. Reliving the trauma was painful, but Gloria knew it was necessary. She wanted justice, not just for herself but for anyone else who might have suffered at Uncle Taylor's hands. The legal battle became a turning point for the family, forcing them to confront the ugly truth and take steps toward healing. Taylor family was in shambles. Gloria's aunt moved out of the mansion with her children, leaving Uncle Taylor alone in the large, empty house. Children were confused and heartbroken, struggling to understand why their family had fallen apart. Gloria's aunt did her best to explain the situation in an age-appropriate way, but the damage was done. Uncle Taylor, now isolated and facing legal consequences, began to spiral. His once pristine image was tarnished, and he lost the respect of his peers. The family he had worked so hard to build was gone, and he had no one to blame but himself. Gloria started attending therapy sessions, which helped her process her trauma. She learned coping mechanisms and began to rebuild her self-esteem. Mrs. Adele was a constant source of support, encouraging Gloria to pursue her passions and focus on her education. Slowly but surely, Gloria began to heal. She reconnected with her love for art, spending hours drawing and painting. Her creations became a way for her to express her emotions and tell her story. For the first time in a long while, she felt like herself again. Gloria enrolled in a new school, one that was smaller and more supportive than her previous one. She made friends who accepted her for who she was and didn't judge her past. Her teachers were kind and understanding, offering her extra help when she needed it. School became a sanctuary for Gloria, a place where she could focus on her future. She excelled in her studies, determined to create a better life for herself. The nightmares still came, but they were less frequent, and Gloria was learning how to face them. Gloria's parents visited her for the first time since she had left the village. They were devastated by what had happened and blamed themselves for sending her to live with Uncle Taylor. Gloria reassured them that it wasn't their fault and that she was doing better now. The reunion was emotional but healing. Gloria's parents promised to support her in any way they could, and they began making plans for her to return home once the legal proceedings were over. For Gloria, it was a reminder that she was loved and that her family would always be there for her. The trial against Uncle Taylor began, and Gloria was called to testify. It was one of the hardest days of her life, but she stood strong, determined to see justice served. Her testimony was powerful and moving, leaving no doubt about the truth. Uncle Taylor was found guilty and sentenced to prison. The verdict brought a sense of closure for Gloria, but it also marked the end of an era for the Taylor family. The mansion was sold, and the family went their separate ways, each dealing with the aftermath in their own way. With the trial behind her, Gloria focused on rebuilding her life. She returned to her village, where she was welcomed with open arms. Her parents were overjoyed to have her back, and the familiar surroundings brought her a sense of comfort. Gloria enrolled in a local school and continued her therapy sessions. She also started a support group for survivors of abuse, using her experience to help others. Her journey was far from over, but she was determined to turn her pain into purpose. Gloria discovered a passion for advocacy and began speaking out about the importance of mental health and support for survivors. She started a blog where she shared her story and offered advice to others who had experienced similar trauma. Her blog gained a following, and Gloria received messages from people all over the world thanking her for her courage. She realized that her voice had power, and she was determined to use it to make a difference. Trusting others was still a challenge for Gloria, but she was learning to open up again. She formed close friendships with people who respected her boundaries and supported her journey. Her relationship with her parents also grew stronger, as they worked together to heal as a family. Gloria's faith in humanity was slowly restored, and she began to believe that not everyone would hurt her. She took small steps toward building a life filled with love, trust, and happiness. Gloria's hard work paid off when she received a scholarship to a prestigious university. It was a dream come true, and she was excited to start this new chapter in her life. Her parents were proud of her, and her friends celebrated her achievement. As she packed her bags for university, Gloria reflected on how far she had come. She had faced unimaginable pain, but she had also found strength and resilience she never knew she had. The future was bright, and Gloria was ready to embrace it. University was a fresh start for Gloria. She immersed herself in her studies and joined clubs that aligned with her interests. She made new friends and even started dating someone who respected and understood her past. For the first time in a long while, Gloria felt like a normal young woman. She still had her struggles, but she was learning to navigate them with grace and determination. University became a place of growth and self-discovery for her. Gloria continued her advocacy work, organizing events and workshops on campus to raise awareness about abuse and mental health. She became a role model for other survivors, showing them that it was possible to overcome trauma and build a fulfilling life. Her efforts were recognized by the university, and she received an award for her contributions to the community. Gloria was humbled by the honor and more motivated than ever to continue her work. Gloria's aunt and cousins reached out to her, wanting to reconnect. They had all been through so much, and Gloria was hesitant at first. But she agreed to meet them, and the reunion was emotional but healing. They apologized for not being there for her when she needed them most, and Gloria forgave them. They began to rebuild their relationship, one step at a time, and Gloria felt a sense of closure she hadn't realized she needed. Gloria graduated from university with honors, a testament to her hard work and resilience. Her parents, aunt, and cousins were there to celebrate with her, and the day was filled with joy and pride. As she walked across the stage to receive her diploma, Gloria felt a surge of gratitude. She had overcome so much to get to this point, and she knew that her future was full of possibilities. Gloria landed a job at a non-profit organization that focused on supporting survivors of abuse. It was the perfect fit for her, allowing her to use her experience to help others. She threw herself into her work, determined to make a difference. Her colleagues admired her passion and dedication, and Gloria quickly became a valued member of the team. She felt fulfilled knowing that she was contributing to a cause she cared deeply about. Gloria's relationship with her boyfriend grew stronger, and they supported each other through life's ups and downs. He respected her boundaries and understood her need for patience and understanding. For the first time, Gloria allowed herself to fully trust someone. Their love was a source of strength and healing for her, and she began to believe that she deserved happiness. Gloria moved into her own apartment, a cozy space that she decorated with her artwork and personal touches.
For more interesting and captivating stories, Opera Media is just a click away. Thank you for watching.